Hey everyone, it's Ryan, the War Boss, coming at you with another vlog. In today's vlog, I'm going to answer a question that a few of you guys have had. It's about 3D printing. So I want to say that I am an avid 3D printer. I don't want to do too much 3D printing knowledge on this channel, as I'm not the best for doing the STL files and the supports for them. But I will give you the beginner knowledge that I have due to the guys requesting it. I definitely want to share that with you. I print a ton of stuff, from mimics to frog folk to, like, I can even paint Space Marines out of them, you know what I'm saying? Like, I do tons of stuff. I use it for competitions, I use it for my own terrain, I do it for tanks, for bolt action, I do it for artillery pieces. I mean, you name something, if you can find an STL file for it, you can print it. I mean, I've printed pieces for chainsaw parts, I've printed things for cars, not like anything too crazy, but like one of my friends broke the mirror mount, so we 3D printed him a new mirror mount and he glued it to his windshield and it worked great. So, perfect example. Anything that you can think of or find a design are out there. And I want to point out a few of my favorite STL providers, one being Cute Loot Miniatures, and the other one being Heroes and Beasts, as well as Titan Forge and Artisan Guild. They are some of my favorite STL creators that are subscription paid for, so I definitely recommend you go check them out. But with further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get us into this video, so I hope you like it. Alright, so basically I'm going to throw a model on here for you guys and just kind of rotate it to fit the platform. What I tend to do is I always lift the model up. This is like the first tip I tell everyone is, even if you're printing it flat as it was intended, make sure you lift the model up. And the reason for that being is it allows the supports to get under the feet, so you're not breaking them as you try to pull them off the platform. That's a basic tip that I think you guys would want to know. Then the second is, make sure your version of ChichuBox, if you're using that, or Cura if you're using that one, is up to date, because the auto support features are pretty basic to get them there. As you can see here too, I'm trying to use all the build plate when I do these, and then I kind of like give up and restart, and then I'll try it again. And then sometimes I'll think of different ways to orientate them. Like this one is obviously going to be printed on its side. Changing the orientation is another good way to make sure that your prints come out perfectly. I'm just using the basic generals here, but usually I spend a little more time on them. And as you can see, if you do it right, you can stick two together and make sure that they're very close and not touching, and they'll print out exactly like that, which saves you time and space when it does it, because the printer's going to print as fast as it can no matter what, whether it's using the whole build plate or just a fraction of it. And that's where these resin printers really get advantage, because you can do multiple long prints that are going to come out quick and detailed, and you're going to have a ton of fun with them. As you can see here, they're not touching. I'm going to go ahead and add another frog in here and show you how much I can get on this build plate. And again, this is just a quick kind of, me messing around, not really what I will use for going above and beyond when I'm printing for myself. But as you can see here, I got 2 beetles, 2 riders, and I'm going to get 2 saddles, all in the same build plate, which is going to help if I want to make a beetle army, or I want to have, like, 6, 7, 8, 15 of these guys. All I have to do is print it as many times as I need, and I'm good to go. Actually, I think it'd be more like 20, because 10 prints would be 20 of them. But yeah, so, I mean, again, it's just all basic, easy stuff here. One thing you want to do is make sure that when you're doing this, that if it overlaps a little bit, it's okay. It will just make a thicker bond there, which isn't too bad. It's not something I recommend, but at the same time, it's something that you can do without worrying about it. Your build plate is really going to be key on doing this. And that's just kind of how it is. After that, you go ahead and you slice it. Now, I always use a high-speed USB stick versus one of those generic ones you can get, basically anywhere. I make sure that I use the high-speed when I save, and I save the files in a folder. This way here, I know when I'm actually printing when I go to print. That's another thing. Naming the file and a folder for all the files keeps your 3D prints, unique and clean. And it's something that I do recommend if you have a ton of prints like this, like I do. I have so many going on, I don't want to, make too much of a mess in the USB stick And this way here I don't delete the files that I don't need to worry about. Again, get a high-speed USB stick versus a slow-speed USB stick. This way here, you know that it's going to transfer and copy and do everything you need, and is less likely to corrupt the file for when you plug it into your printer. Alright, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a different piece, which is a Manticore. This is a cool miniature that I got for one of the subscriptions that I was in, and as you can see here, pieces are amazing. They're not pre-supported, so they are pre-supported, so I don't have to worry about them. This way here, the developer of these prints made sure that the supports were already placed for you. So again, if you look, I don't even have to worry about it. Using pre-supported models is always a good thing, especially if you don't mind how they're going to come out. Pre-supported models usually come out just as good as the unsupported models, and because someone has taken the time, it just saves it from you. I do a lot of pre-supported models. If you remember the Magma Dragon I did on my channel, there was a ton of pre-supports on that thing. And I'll tell you a little trick to get those off as we get closer to that point of the video. But again, as you can see, I'm trying to utilize the full amount of my build plate. This way here, when I do decide to go ahead and edit my images and things like that, I don't have to worry about the screen breaking in one specific area. I only have to worry about it going dead at the same time across the board. That's kind of why I do it. This way here I get the most out of the build plate versus, only a small section that I've used repetitively. Let's get printing. So while it's printing, as you can see, it's only on 51% and it's doing its thing. As you can see, the LED screen shows you exactly what you're doing. So if you take a look at this every now and then, you can see if you find any overlaps in it. I tend to do this when, I don't sit there and stare at it, but I tend to do it when I want to take a look and see what went wrong in a print. I will go ahead and redo the print, but I will fix the build plate, clean out the resin vat, make sure that everything's good, re-level it, and then go to town. And as I'm, sitting here going, okay, well, it got to like, 50%, and then it ended up in the vat, or it got to 5%, then ended up in the vat. I go ahead and I look at what happened at that spot, and I can see if there was any islands that were created or anything like that. The islands are a killer for sure. If you don't catch them, they can ruin the whole print. Which you definitely want to look for when you're doing the STL file itself and putting in the supports. Even if they're pre-supported, sometimes they don't have a one, so I kind of just scroll up and down on the thing in ChituBox just to make sure that we don't miss out. As you can see here now, it's my build station, and I grip from the plate itself, and then I go to town with taking them off, because you don't want to hit where it's connected to the 3D printer. Newer printers have magnetic plates, so you don't have to worry too much about this, but in this case, because I have an old Cubic, I got to be careful not to mess up the balance and the leveling, so I use the side of the plate. Sometimes I stab myself, but it happens. So once it's off, as you can see, I put the resin vat back in and I begin the next print. Now, as you can see, my station has two different resin vats. Now, what I'll do, not resin vats, sorry, isopropyl alcohol vats. I use 93%, which is like the highest you can use. And the reason I do that is because I want to make sure that the resin vats have everything I need. And it helps clean the models quicker this way. And it just ends up working out in the long run, in my opinion, because when the model's sitting that long enough, it actually eats at the supports, and the supports will just flake off afterwards, as well as it gets any excess resin that's on the model and removes that as well. Alright, so now that you see that these 3D prints are done, they look pretty nice, look pretty good, and that's how I do it. I just kind of take my time, make it easy. Every now and then you do lose a print, unfortunately, but when you do lose a print, it's okay, you can always reprint it. They came out pretty good. And I print everything from terrain to miniatures, and you name it. So hopefully you guys liked this video and found the tips and tricks in it helpful. If not, sorry about that. Let me know what you would like to see, or if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm not an expert at 3D printing, but I just kind of figured I'd give you how I do it, and we'd go from there. So thanks for watching. Once again, this is Ryan the War Boss, coming at you with another vlog. Good girl.